I'm here. I was just getting some stuff set up. I was looking at Instagram to see if I could find this graphic for some transfer guys, but I can't. It doesn't matter though. We'll do it later. Hello, welcome to the Corn Craze live stream. I'm your host, Connor, and I'm excited today, as you should be as well if you're a Nebraska fan. You know what? If you're a college football fan, period, you should be excited because there has been so much movement. There have been so many great things happening that the season has now extended deep into January. In the past, it's felt like the season kind of ends and trickles off after that initial signing day, and then it's just kind of boring. But now there's so much more variety. We get to see and learn so much more about all of these teams because the teams that we watched last year, they will not be the same teams that we will watch next year, and that's specifically true about a school that we all love. So we'll talk about that. First things first, I made a video today where I talked about Arik Gilbert. It was right before the commitment was announced, but I knew it was coming. So I gave you guys as much of a breakdown as I could with my thoughts, his past, and what could be his future under Matt Rule and playing at Nebraska. So if you haven't gotten a chance to check out the Arik Gilbert video, I dropped that on the channel. It's less than 5 minutes long, super punchy, easy to get through, and gives everybody a good idea of what's going to happen going forward. In my opinion, anything could happen, but my opinion, how it should look. Thank you, chat, for being here. You know, the one thing that sucks about not having college football around is that I don't get to talk to you as much. I mean, I guess I could, but you probably wouldn't be here as often because you're, more tuned in when things are happening every day. And right now it feels like things happen sparingly. So thanks for coming back. And I'm going to get to chat tonight. I also want to extend an invitation to anyone who wants to call in. If you've got questions, if you want to give me any comments, any thoughts, go to Discord, join the waiting room. And once you're in the waiting room, I'll pull you in and take a live call. So that's an option if anyone wants it. It's not a requirement, but it's an option because I know that we have fun when we do get to talk to each other. Getting to chat really quick. I saw Judy in here firing off her comments. Judy, I missed you. Thanks for being here. Oh, and Adam Carricker is live right now as well. I didn't know Adam Carricker goes live at this time. Otherwise, I probably would have waited, but it's all good. We're both going live. Just more content. Let's see. We've got people playing NCAA right now. Sal says that Corn Craze is the best Husker site he's seen. Sal, we'll get through the recruiting news tonight for sure. I'll give you as much of an update as I can. It's been eventful over the past couple weeks, but it's going to slow down a lot. However, there is some positive news. I would expect some positive news to come after this weekend. So we'll talk about the visitors from this weekend, and we'll go from there. Unfortunately, there is no offensive line news, so I know people are wanting to see some more offensive linemen. I'm not sure that we're going to see many more. And Sal says a Georgia site was reporting good news for them concerning Raiola. Just a heads up for everybody if you haven't heard me say it before. Raiola could commit to any school in the country tomorrow, and I wouldn't care. It means nothing. He does not sign for 10 more months, and until he does, or 11 months, and until he signs, all of that means nothing. So it is what it is. Let me start by going to Twitter because this week has been eventful with Arik Gilbert. Last Saturday, Nebraska had 3 visitors. And on my live stream, I talked about the visitors because we had just lost Walter Rouse. And I came on and I did a stream where I vented about Walter. I got a text from someone at Nebraska, and they told me, hey, just a heads up, Arik Gilbert's on his visit right now. Which, what's the right word? Shock, awe, extremely hyped up. All of those things were emotions that I had felt when I first had the words Arik Gilbert visit in Nebraska come across my phone screen. I couldn't say anything about it because he told me to wait, so I didn't want to do that. But what I will say is I hinted to you guys that Arik Gilbert, or not Arik Gilbert, that a 5-star was on campus for a visit, and then I went out and did something. Think of it as a crumb trail, like in that one show. Is it Wizard of Oz? No, it's like one of the the witch ones where they go and do their breadcrumb trail. It doesn't matter. I left you a trail, and some of you picked it up. I went on Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, and I said that there was a rumor that Arik Gilbert was at Nebraska. So if you were paying attention to the voice of college football and saw I was on there, then you might have picked that up. Otherwise, you had to wait a little bit. But I did try and hint to it as much as possible for you guys. The voice of college football. I was on the show the other day. He had me on for like 15 minutes. I've gotten a bunch of comments about where can I see this whole interview. And to my understanding, there is no full interview. There are clips. So he did a 2-minute clip here. He did a 2-minute clip here. Here we did a 2-minute, a 1-minute, a 3, no, not that. This one, a 1.5. Anyway, we do all these little clips and then they go out. So if you wanted to watch those, that's how you do it. You just go to the Voice of College Football channel and you can see my interview with Mark Rogers. I'm sure I'll go back on his channel in the future as well. That's going to happen because he's a super cool guy. I like being interviewed. I'm going to be honest. There's something about me sitting there and having someone ask me the question that just felt right. I can collect my thoughts and then just fire off everything I know and wait for the next question. I'll be honest. I have more interviews coming in the future. I'm a nobody right now, but one day I'm going to be a somebody and I'm going to be doing interviews. I promise you that. Senor Chief, thank you for the $10 super chat. Here's some coin for coffee or Red Bull. Keep pumping out the videos, GBR. I appreciate you and the support. I will think about drinking some caffeine and pulling an all-nighter one of these nights to crank content. Really quick, guys, I want to take a couple live callers because I did say we were going to do that, and now I have some live callers waiting in the Discord. So let's take a couple of those, and then I'll get back to chat. And James, Husker Nation, he says, any news about Don Collins? There is no any news there, but Don and I for sure will do content in the future. I just don't know at what point. I haven't talked to him in a couple days, though. Okay, let's see here. I got to join the head office. Cole, can you hear me?
Yep, yes. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, sir. Cole, what is happening?
Just hanging out.
Okay, 1 second. Chat, make sure everyone can hear this. Chat, put a yes you can hear Cole if you can hear him. This is my first time doing a live call-in show without Denon helping me out. Waiting. Anyone saying they can hear? He can hear. Okay, Cole, what's popping? You saw the Arik Gilbert news. What was your instant take?
Well, I mean, you called me out on Discord earlier, which is fine. I didn't look at his
what
LSU
did I call
stats.
You out for?
Because I'm trying to keep it real. Like I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid yet, but you said he was all SEC freshman, and I didn't look at that. That's true, but then
wait, really quick pause so I can give chat context. You had said in the Discord that you didn't think Arik Gilbert had played yet, and then I had mentioned he has played. Got it. You can keep going.
Yeah, so then he took the 21 year off for whatever reason, mental health, whatever the case may be, and then got 2 catches in 2022. So I'm keeping the bar low.
That's fair, and I think all of us should keep the bar low because what we've seen in the past, we've gotten really excited about guys who have the accolades from high school or the accolades from 1 year of college, but they didn't pan out over the long term, and then they come to Nebraska and they don't do as well as we had hoped, and it was our own fault for expecting too much. So I think it's good to temper expectations, but I want to be honest with you, brother. Arik Gilbert is a freak of nature, and I think that a lot of his issues were less about the physical ability, whereas most transfers that Nebraska takes on, it is a physical ability issue. So that's why I'm hopeful, just so we're all on the same page.
That's fair, and then I looked it up. I unfortunately didn't look the distance up between Lincoln and Athens, but from LSU to Athens, it's 570 miles, and I'm hoping he doesn't get homesick again. But yeah, I agree. That's 2 5-stars from Georgia. So if we want to be Georgia light, that's fine with me. It's just making sure they don't, want to just go home again.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his issues were. No one's really documented those and said what they were, but I have to assume it was some mental health issue. And if it was a mental health issue, if Nebraska has that faculty in place to take care of these guys and make sure that they're happy and doing what's best for them, then hopefully it works out for Nebraska and for us as fans, and obviously for number one, the player himself, because you want to make sure those guys can live a happy, fulfilling life. But at this point, everything's kind of up in the air. It's a you don't know until you know kind of situation. And right now, it's worth the risk, I think, is the best way to put it. There's no risk in adding him on scholarship. Well, there is, because that's a scholarship spot, but it's worth it when you can get a guy of that caliber. So take it for what
Right.
it's worth.
And then I guess I got one question to keep it real quick so other guys can get a chance. But the other reason I'm keeping it kind of more realistic is, Rouse.
Yep.
So with regards to guys who are transferring, why aren't we getting like, instead of a commitment, why is it not, hey, let's sign the dotted line right now? Because aren't they different? Like, do they have a signing day? Or
Yeah,
can they? I thought they could just sign whenever.
My understanding is a high school player obviously has to sign, but a transfer portal guy doesn't need to sign. He more so has to enroll. Now, he might have to sign as well, but there isn't a deadline date that he has to sign by. My guess that isn't true, because they do have to sign by today, I think is the final day. But realistically, they can just enroll. And if they do enroll at whatever time, they're not going to unenroll in most circumstances. So I don't think the signature is what the coaching staff is pushing for as much as just getting them on campus and getting them to enroll. But obviously, all of it has to do with signing at the end of the day, because they're all agreeing to come to Nebraska. It's just different when you talk about signing with a high school kid and signing with a transfer guy, because it's enrolling and transferring.
Right. Fair enough.
But yeah,
All right.
the Rouse one was a tough one, but it is what it is. At least we've got other guys coming in, and hopefully one of those guys pans out and makes up for it.
Yeah. All righty.
Thanks for
Great
calling in.
news. I mean, like I said, it's still great news. Just keeping everything tempered, but otherwise, yeah, keep doing what you're doing and go Big Red.
Appreciate it. Go Big Red. Before I bring in our next caller, let me see here. There we go. Before I bring in our next caller, we've got some super chats. Let me get to those. Are you super serial? Thank you for being a member, and thank you for the 10. Got my 402 shirt and hoodie in the mail a little while ago. Love the quality and the fabric. I'll be wearing it on game days in the future. Also, you aren't a nobody. You're the number one Husker YouTube channel. I appreciate that. I still look at myself as, pretty small, but at the end of the day, you guys have helped me to become a face on YouTube. One of the faces, obviously, of Nebraska football talk, because there's only a few. There's like 6 or 7, but I'm one of them. So yeah, thank you for the support. It means a ton. Everybody who bought merch, it's been awesome to be able to meet people who have tried it and like it, because I did put a lot of work into the merch to make sure it looked really good. William, thank you for the $10. Best Husker content anywhere. Thanks, Connor. Well, thank you for watching the show, and thank you for supporting. I appreciate it a ton. Everybody who's tipped me all year, it's gone a long way. I did my breakdown financially for how much money I made with Corn Craze this year, and a huge chunk of that came from memberships and from tips. And like you guys know, I'm not getting rich doing this. I promise you that. I'm just trying to make enough so I can pay my bills during the football season, so I don't have to work a normal job, because if I had to work a normal job during the season, there's no way I'd be able to bring you the coverage that I've been able to bring you for these past couple of years. So thanks for all the support, like I said. Blaine asked if that was the real Are You Super Serial. Yes, that is the Are You Super Serial. It is him. I have talked to him on DM. Super good guy. And yes, that's the real one. CJ with the $10. Thank you for the support. Don't temper your emotions. Have faith in this staff and their ability to develop players. The only reason we're hesitant is because Frost's staff couldn't develop guys. That's one reason we're hesitant. But we're also hesitant because when you do come into a situation like Matt Rule's coming into, and you try and bring on this mass amount of portal guys, I don't know how many, 10, 11. There's going to be 11 or 12 at least. Could get up to 14 or 15, and you expect them all to be starters out the gate and to produce. It's just, it's a big ask, and you're trying to get those guys all on the same page. Now, I do agree with you. Don't temper my emotions, get excited, be pumped up, and I think everybody should be like that. It's just, don't get too low on yourself if things don't pan out as we hope they do, because, Nebraska fans like to get excited, more excited than other people. Just my experience. We're bringing in another caller. Let's see. Can I get one in? Trying, guys. Move him. Let me try it on my phone. I'm struggling. And Gary, thank you for becoming a member. Huskers Prod says, who do you think will start next year, Casey or Jeff Sims? I think we're so early in the process, and it's really hard to tell, right? I like the idea of either one playing, but you just never know which one's going to end up. You never know which one's going to end up getting the call because there's so much time and it's too hard to make a random prediction. So I don't like to judge that until we get a little bit closer. Right now I'll say Jeff, but there's no real reason behind Jeff other than I think this staff likes him. Okay, guys, one sec. I have to reopen Discord. Okay, RedX24, can you hear me? RedX. Nope. Dunk, can you hear me? Dunk, I see your audio.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's happening?
Nothing much. Just real quickly, I want to give you're awesome. I love watching your content, and I wanted to give kudos to the current staff because they're recruiting really, really well very early on, which is really awesome to watch. But I have two quick things that I wanted to talk about on the Arik train.
Awesome.
First off, I really think that I really think that this staff may be the right staff for him for the mental side because they're very it's like a family and there's less like I don't know how to say it, but you know how Georgia and LSU are. They're very, very aggressive, if you will, as a staff. I think that this staff is a lot more like keen on building relationships, and I think that might go a long way with this Arik Gilbert guy. Um,
I think that's a good observation.
and then also, I wanted to say that I think that we can finally start seeing some 12 personnel and jumbo packages work its way into our offense with both Fedoni and Arik on the field at the same time, and with an improving offensive line. I think that would be really, really awesome to watch.
I think so too. In a 12 personnel package, what would that look like?
I'm thinking obviously having both of them on the field at the same time. Um,
What would the
and
formation be?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm still learning actually. I'm still learning offensive formations and stuff like that.
Fair enough.
Um, I'm still learning terminology. I never played the sport myself. I'm just becoming a big fan over time.
I love it.
So,
I can tell you
um,
what I'd like to see. I'd like to see them if they were to line up heavy and they had two tight ends on the field. I'd like to see if they had Fedoni or a guy like Arik Gilbert play in the backfield as a fullback and be able to run them out on swing routes or on wheel routes and
mhm.
hopefully create a mismatch because I think Fedoni and Gilbert are fast enough to beat a linebacker. And if they get
Yep.
matched up with a linebacker coming out of the backfield, they could win that. So I think it'd be interesting to see. Who knows how they'll end up coming out, but I do agree with you. It'd be cool to see them both on the field at the same time. And
Or you could have both of them at the same time along the line and bring someone else in as a fallback for heavy for heavy inside zone packages for heavy edge rushing packages like running on the edges.
that's a good idea too.
Yes, sir.
Anything they scheme up run wise, I think any Nebraska fan's going to be excited about. So at this
Yeah.
point, the fact that we're getting the personnel who can come in and play in those spots, I think is very promising. And to your point in the beginning, it was huge that we had a staff who came in and made such a big push in recruiting and realized that they needed to turn this roster over to make sure they had the guys who fit for what they want to run. They've done a great job at it. I think they'll continue to do a great job at it. And this 2024 class might be crazy by the time they get it wrapped up.
Yeah, they're doing a great job in filling holes of need. I'd like to see more offensive line prospects come in, but other than that, we're really sitting pretty solid for this 2023 class.
One thing I want to add on to with your offensive line comment, a lot of people are hoping or were hoping that we'd sign Rouse or you'd sign Mazuka or any of these other linemen that were in the portal. The unfortunate truth is it's hard to land them all, right? So going forward, they've already shown they're committed to it. I think they signed 4 or 5 offensive linemen in this recruiting class out of high school, right? So as we know, it's not going to be an instant turnaround, and we would love to see more starters come in day one. But the fact that they did put such an emphasis on offensive linemen coming out of high school, and even though those guys, for the most part, were already recruited, they were able to retain them. I think it says a lot about the future. So I'm excited for it too.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate the support.
Yes, sir. No
Talking
problem.
to you. All right. Talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Back to chat. We got Rodrigo who dropped me 2,200 Chilean pesos. I think that's Chilean pesos. Is that Chile? I don't know, Rodrigo. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I appreciate it. Thank you for the pesos. Let's see. Oh, Nick, thank you for the $2 and thank you for being a member. I'm chugging the Kool-Aid at an unsafe rate. Listen, it's hard not to. I totally respect it and I understand it. I just don't want people to get their hopes up too high and then, get over the season real quick when it doesn't go our way, or if it doesn't go our way. I'm not going to say when, because things should go our way. We got a great coaching staff. We got players who are motivated. We have a, what's the right word? Moderate schedule. I mean, we play Colorado this year. Come on. Let's talk about something I saw on Twitter from Malachi Coleman. This was today. This was 2 hours ago, my time. He said, 2 hours ago, all our time. He said, we ain't done. 100, meaning he thinks that more guys will commit. So I wanted to look at the visitors from this week, and I'm going to get back to the call-ins. I know I've got a couple more who want to talk, so I will come back to those in just a second. These are the 4 visitors for the week. They're interesting because 2 of them, Jeremiah Charles, who's a receiver, not ranked, and Ishmael Smith Flores are both from Arlington Martin High School out in Texas. Why is that significant? Because it shows that the new tight ends coach, Bob Wager, who came in, he was a high school coach at Arlington Martin, I think, right? Anyway, I think so. He was able to go out and recruit 2 guys who played for him, 2 guys he knows, and they're going to come on visits. I would not be surprised if Nebraska landed both of them. I'm not sure what Charles' upside is. He's probably a track guy, if I had to assume, whereas Ishmael Smith Flores is an Iowa legacy, and Nebraska has the potential to poach him, which would be fantastic. The other 2, you've got Demetrius Bell. He's a 4-star by some recruiting services. I see he's 3-star here, but he is highly rated. Nebraska's probably going to land him. And then you've got Sua Lafotu, who goes to John Bosco, who's the #1 team in the country. That's one of my rival high schools. He has a 55% chance as of now to go to Washington, which my understanding is that's not true. Washington backed off. They're no longer interested or not as interested, which opened the door for a school like Nebraska. So he's coming from Bosco, who plays against Servite, Mater Dei, Lutheran, all the biggest schools in California. He played against Mater Dei, and just to put it flat, Mater Dei has multiple NCAA Division I players every single year come off their offensive line. So he's already seen some of the best guys in the country. When he comes to Nebraska, he'll already have played against top-level competition. It'd be fantastic if they can get him, and I'm sure they will. So these 4 guys, I think Nebraska has a great chance to land all of them this weekend. So maybe that's what Malachi Coleman was referencing in this tweet. Recruiting's not done. Crazy to think, huh? James, thank you for the $10. I'm cautiously optimistic for next season. Keep up the awesome content, and next time you come to Omaha, we'll hit an off-road trail in my Cherokee. I like that idea. That sounds fun. I did hang out with James in Omaha last time I went, guys. We went to a bar, kicked it, saw a few Corn Crate subscribers. It was a good time. Blake says that Cormani McClain just flipped to Colorado. Okay, big news. Let's talk about that. Cormani McClain. Wow. So, guys, for those who don't know, Cormani McClain is the number one corner in the class. Yep, the #1 corner in the class. There it is. So, Cormani was committed to Miami. I assumed he had a big bag to go to Miami. Wait, no, go back. I assumed he had a lot of money to go to Miami, like a big NIL deal. And then last minute, Dion comes to the table and flips him, which is incredible to me. Wow. Let me go to on 3. Where is it? Cormani McClain. On 3. I know some people say I talk a lot about Colorado, but look, Colorado's Nebraska's second game of the season next year. Got to understand the opponent and know what they got going on. Okay, so Cormani, number 10 player in the country, going to Colorado. I have to assume that this is the highest rated player that Colorado's ever landed. Maybe they've landed someone higher, but I wouldn't know about it. That's just crazy. So now he has Travis Hunter, and he has Cormani McLean, the two top corners in back-to-back classes. Oh, man. Colorado's not going to be a pushover next year. I can promise you that. If I had to make an early prediction, I would say that's going to be a dogfight. They've got an experienced quarterback, although he hasn't played Power 5. Any argument from people who say, oh, well, he hasn't played Power 5, so Shador's not good. Trey Lance didn't play Power 5, and he went to the NFL. Carson Wentz didn't play Power 5 and went to the NFL. What's the guy from the Ravens? Joe Flacco. There's tons. Jimmy G. Tons of guys who didn't play at Power 5 schools and ended up going to the NFL. You've got Cormani McLean, Shadar Sanders, the running back now, Dylan Rogers, who's going to be a true freshman. You have an edge from Michigan, Travis. I think I mentioned Travis Hunter, whatever. You have at least 5, 6, 7 guys on that team who have NFL potential. It's going to be a battle. Nebraska doesn't have a pushover game like we thought they might at the beginning of the year before Deion got hired. But that only makes things more exciting, and it only makes things more fun. It's more fun when Colorado is good because then there's a fair rivalry. It's not an embarrassment like it was in 2018 and 2019 to lose to them. The reason it was so painful to lose to them those first 2 times is because they were so down bad. So why couldn't Nebraska, with their big high-profile head coach and their big-time quarterback, go in there and beat them? That hurt more. Whereas now you've got a more evenly ranked matchup, and it should be fun to watch. So I'm excited for the Colorado game, as you are too. I don't even need to ask if you're excited, because I freaking know you are. Are You Super Serial says, what are the chances Deion fumbles the talent on his team as bad as Jimbo has the last few years? Not a Deion hater, just genuinely curious to see how he handles the talent at his first big job. One of the things I like about what Deion's done is he's hired legitimate coaches. He didn't go and just stick to what I don't even know. Division 1 AA. Whatever you call the subdivision he played in, he didn't stick to those coaches. He went out and got one of the top offensive minds in the group of 5. He got the head coach from Kent State to be his offensive coordinator. What's that guy's name? Why am I blanking on it? Doesn't matter. You guys will put it in the chat. They have multiple coaches with really good resumes. Guys who've been at Alabama, guys who've been at Florida State, guys who've been at Texas. I mean, he has Texas A&M. I don't remember which school it was. One of the Texas schools. He has a really good staff. And because of that, I think it gives me more faith in this future for Deion. As much as everyone likes to hate on him, and I understand why they do, his process has worked before. And you can say, well, he just went and got the best players, and then the best players went and beat up on the small-time guys. That's true. But to win consistently at any level is something you've got to be, giving props to, and he was able to do it for 3 years at that level. So, and he turned around a really weak program. So I don't think he's going to fold. I think that he'll be able to at least get Colorado back to 7 wins. Does he do it year 1? Might be a stretch. Does he do it year 2? That probably is more likely, especially with USC and UCLA both leaving. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting to watch. So we got that. Nick says Colorado's quickly becoming the Kardashians of college football. And I'm going to be honest, I don't hate it. I actually really enjoy watching it because I love the reality spectacle aspect of college football. I love all the transfers. I love the drama. I love all the coaching changes. I love the hate. I love everything on social media. I like to be involved in it. It's entertaining and fun for me. So if they are the ones who got to pave the way, they're the ones who got to start the YouTube channels to give me the inside access into a football program, so be it. I'm going to watch it. I haven't watched that Deion, the Amazon Prime show, whatever he has. I really do want to watch it. I'll probably download it for a flight. But all of the spectacle and drama and all that's fun to me. I like it. Let's take another caller. Beansy, can you hear me? Test, test. You can unmute yourself. Beansy. Mute your background so I can't hear myself. You there?
Hey,
Hey.
how's it going, Connor?
It's going freaking great. I'm hanging out with 460 Corn Crate subscribers right now talking about college football. This is my dream, so.
Yo, living the dream here as well. The first time I called in, I talked about the tight end room back in the first live, and I actually was going to do it again, but since we're talking Colorado, and I'm a Colorado resident, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and tell them that it's kind of sad that you can't afford to pay your head coach and you're going to go through this crowdfunding thing. And I mean, all the power to you, but It's going to be a little different when Big Red comes to town.
It should be a little different. Do you think they're going to sell out that game? No,
I mean,
they
Nebraska
already
fans
did.
are going to sell out that
They
game.
already did sell it out. Do you think they're going to fill up? Is the better question. Will Colorado fans paint that stadium black and gold, or will Nebraska fans still be able to get in and occupy 40%?
Oh, we're going to occupy more than 40%. No question. No
I think there's a
question.
lot
Their
of
fans
hype
don't
this year.
care.
That's the thing. Their fans don't care that much. I think a loss to TCU that opening week would really hurt them.
Oh, and you know it's coming. You know it's coming. Sonny Dykes is gonna make them look foolish. All this hype is gonna lead up to nothing, just like we kind of did with Scott Frost.
I don't want to get too down on them because you know how you get so down on somebody and then the tables turn and you look like an idiot? I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to say they have hope against TCU. I think TCU will win. They're just a more established program at this point. And Colorado's a mixed bag. They've got all kinds of players coming in from all over the place, an entirely new coaching staff, most of who haven't worked together. So it should be an interesting transition period for them in those first few weeks. But you know, they have good athletes. So they should be able to keep these games decently close. But either way, I hope Nebraska does fill up that stadium. It would be awesome to see.
I think it's coming. I don't hear any hype. I mean, especially here, you'd think, but it's a Broncos state, I guess, somehow.
How about this? Vince just said the cheapest tickets for the Colorado game are $290 each right now. I mean, it's way early, and those ticket prices will drop a bit. Jose says 900 on StubHub. I don't know how true that is. I mean, maybe they are. That sounds pretty high. But yeah, wow.
When they actually dropped, I had to try and call into the Colorado ticket office and use my Colorado address because they're trying to box out all the Husker fans, but they're not going to keep us out.
So ridiculous. There's no way they'll keep us all out because I will be there. I have to go. It's just a non-option of a game of this magnitude. And the other thing is, it's such an exciting time for Nebraska football that you don't want to miss one of their last major rivalry opportunities with Colorado. We aren't going to be able to play Colorado in this setting in, probably a very long time, at least not in Boulder. And if that's the case, I've got to at least catch it one more time before it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be my first Nebraska CU game, and we're rolling super deep in there. We got people coming up from Texas all over.
Hell yeah, that's going to be awesome. Well, I hope I see you there.
Hell yeah, go Big Red.
Go Big Red. Nick says I'm going to start donating plasma for his tickets to Boulder. Owen says, was this the 5-star you were talking about the other day? Because you don't like to make breaking news. Yep, Arik Gilbert was the 5-star I was talking about the other day, and it took this long to finally have it come out. Galactus says at this point he hopes Dion's super successful so he can get to the NFL as quickly as possible. It's hard to recruit against guys like that. He says not sure NCAA had that kind of coach before. It's interesting because the NCAA hasn't had that kind of coach before. He's so, my God, polarizing, and players love him for obvious reasons. He's proven that he can be this type of coach now because he is landing the top players and he's making them really good. So if he sends Shadar, his own son, to the NFL as a quarterback, and let's say he's a 3rd or 4th round pick, that's going to speak volumes. And ultimately, it's just going to lead to even better recruiting. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting to watch it all unfold. I'm going to take another call here. I want to make sure I answer everything in chat as much as I can. There's a lot of chats that come through. I can't get to everything, but I do my best. Someone said maybe Anthony Grant should play fullback. That's funny. He's a little small. Okay, I got another caller. Fireprod, can you hear me? Fireprod, test. You gotta unmute yourself. Test. Nope, can't. Okay, we got another one. Veteration, test. Can you hear me? You're muted.
Connor!
Hey, what's happening?
How are we feeling right now?
Feeling pretty damn good. I'm excited because of the recruiting. I'm excited because we got everybody in the chat going. It just feels like a really good time to be a Nebraska fan,
I mean, I'm playing NCAA 14 right now, and I couldn't even put together an offseason like this. Let me tell
you. You couldn't put together that level of an offseason in NCAA 14?
Man, 2 5-stars or a 5 and a 4.5 star, possibly another 5-star on the way.
Who's the possible other 5-star on the way?
I mean, the main man of the hour.
Oh, you're right.
Raul.
You're right. The next class.
Yeah.
You're right. That would be
Yeah,
a
yeah.
massive one.
That would be huge, but I mean, we talked about Kool-Aid, sipping Kool-Aid in the past years. This is just otherworldly almost.
Here, let me ask a question to chat really quick, and then you can continue. Chat, were you sipping more Kool-Aid at this moment, or were you sipping more Kool-Aid going into last season? Let me know in the chat. 2021 or 2022? Wait, no, 2022 or 2023?
Yeah,
Which one
I
were
feel
you
like
sipping more Kool-Aid?
last year was more so of like adding some coaches, and we got Palmer, but I mean, Rule taking over. I don't think anybody really expected it to go as good as it has so far. Of
I
course,
think
it's
a lot of us didn't have as much hope because we thought Matt Rule was going to come from the NFL, and the NFL was going to either limit his recruiting ability or it was going to drive his stock down a bit because he just didn't do very well, you know?
yeah.
That was my read. That was the conversation I was having with a lot of college football fans, not just Nebraska fans. That was like
And
the
it
main concern.
Yeah, and it's just he's done like wonder. He brought Coleman back. I mean, he was set before he got there, and then he kind of left. But Coleman came back. That was huge. Now a bunch. I mean, Sims. We kind of forgotten about him a little bit, but Sims is huge.
Sims is huge, and people don't realize how huge it is. Also, just
Yeah.
so you know, the chat is, I would say they're a little bit more on 2023, but there's a lot of people who said they were drunk and drowning in Kool-Aid last year, too. I mean, I
Well-
was over the moon last year, so.
I feel like last year was kind of a desperate kind of hope because we wanted the Scott Frost to work out.
That's what it was. We wanted it so bad, even though it wasn't
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah, I mean, all power to him. I hope he lands on his. I think he has. I saw he coached an All-American Bowl or something, but hopefully
Yeah, he
he gets
did.
a job soon.
He'll get a job. If he wanted to coach now, he could. There would be
Yeah.
group of 5 schools who would hire him in a second, and I'm sure there's some smaller Power 5 schools who would make him an offensive coordinator, but I'm just not sure he's interested, or I'm not sure the right offer came along. There was some point when Scott Frost, I think, was in contention for, what school was it? USF?
Arizona State. Oh yeah.
It was USF was a
wait.
small one.
Mickey was Arizona State.
Yeah, Mickey was talked about for Arizona State. Who knows? But either way, a lot more Kool-Aid going down right now, and I will tell you, I will be drunk off it going into the season once again. But then again, I'm like a Nebraska hype man, so it's my job to get drunk off Kool-Aid.
I mean, yeah, and to put it in perspective, we're just starting the off season. Like the season just ended officially like 1 or 2 weeks ago. So it's
Dude,
only
the season officially
get worse.
ended on like the 12th, right? So that's like,
It's only gonna get.
yeah.
We're gonna be, in the what's the? I don't know what I'm talking about.
I get your point, though. I understand what you're saying.
I'm already that drunk.
I hear you. It's hard not to be. You know what sucks about NCAA, getting back to that topic? We're supposed to be getting the real NCAA game, the NCAA 2023, like 5 months from now. But now we got to wait a whole nother year for it.
Dude, when they said that, well, the thing is, it's only going to be on next gen. I don't have one of those yet, but
What's that mean?
like, it's on the next gen consoles like PS5.
Oh.
And I
You
don't
better
have a
buy
PS5.
one. You better freaking buy
Dude,
one.
I'm a college student, dude. I don't got money like that. But
We'll have to start a GoFundMe to help you get a whatever
please,
console.
no. I appreciate it, but no, it gives me a little bit more time to, get that in check. I can't wait.
Hilarious.
Hopefully, don't screw it up like they have Madden the past like 20 years.
I can barely play Madden. I just love college football too much, so I'm waiting for that one.
Yeah. Well,
All right, well,
it was
thank
nice
you for calling
talking to you,
in.
man.
Yes, sir.
It's always
Talk to you
good.
soon. Peace. If anybody wants to call in, just so you guys know, you go to the Discord, you click on the waiting room, join there, and I'll bring you in to talk with me. So that's an option if anybody wants to talk and ask questions, give thoughts, any of that. Let me get back to chat because you guys have been talking a lot in here and I haven't responded. I'm neglecting you, and I don't want to be doing that. Nick, thank you for the $5 super chat. What's up, Connor? Live in Denver and absolutely cannot take another loss to Colorado out here. Love your channel. All right, well, I love that you're subscribed to the channel, so thank you, and thank you for the support. I know it must be brutal to live in Colorado and watch Nebraska lose to them. So I'm going to say all my prayers. I'm going to do all the right things. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to make sure that God puts me in his good graces so that all my prayers get answered. Because I'm going to pray harder than anybody else that Nebraska beats Colorado. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm just letting you know that's my hope, and that's what I'm going to do for you. So, Nick, I'll do my best. But that's all I can do. All I can do is hope. Philip, thank you for the $5 super chat. Way too early prediction. Please follow Husker Bites. Okay. What's Husker Bites? And what's the way too early prediction? Way too early season's record prediction? Ask me again with more detail. Husker Bites. I'm going to look and see what that means. Husker Bites. I don't see it. I don't see what we're talking about. Maybe you're talking about on Twitter. I pulled Twitter down, so I don't have Twitter up right now. But ask me your question again. Ask me your question for season, or is it season prediction or what? I just want to make sure. Or depth chart prediction, whatever prediction you want. And I'm looking for your comment, Philip. Black Shirt says, do you think Malachi will be a year one contributor? I personally think he has to be, because Nebraska's lacking size at that position. If you look at the receiver room, most guys are 5'9" to 6'2". No one's got a big body like that. And Malachi's fast. He's developed. He looks like a guy who's ready to roll out there and win right away. So, yeah, I would say he contributes. I'm not sure how much contribution he can make, but I think he will make some. That's my guess right now. John says, where'd you get that hoodie? Okay, this hoodie I'm wearing came from, where'd it come from? I think Husker Shop, or it came from the Nebraska bookstore. It came from one of those Nebraska sites, the official ones. It's 2020 or 2019, so it came with track pants as well. But it's old. I don't remember, and I don't know how to get them anymore. I'm actually assuming you can't get them anymore because they're old and probably out of style. But I do like this one, although I rarely do wear it. Nintendo says, who will be our starting receiver core at this point? Man, it's so hard to predict. Nebraska has so many good receivers right now. The problem is a lot of them are unproven. You have IGC, who's really good and, in my opinion, a proven guy. Then you have Xavier Betts. He's proven, but he's not ready because he took some time off. Then you have Billy Kemp. He's ready to go. So right now, IGC, Billy Kemp. Then who else? Marcus Washington. That's a for sure. Marcus Washington came off a pretty decent season last year, so he'll be back in that rotation. Alante Brown. I would say those are the four. Then we talk about number 5. It goes to Malachi, maybe a Xavier, maybe an Arik Gilbert. I'm not sure because I think Eric's going to play tight end. It's interesting. It's a who knows at this point because we don't know what personnel goes where. We don't know how they're going to line their receivers up or what ways they're going to use them, what ways the quarterbacks are going to try and be throwing balls. Are they throwing the mid-range? Are they throwing it deep? Are they throwing all screens? If we go all bubble screens, then maybe it's Alante Brown and Billy Kemp. But if they want to throw mid-range, then it's probably more of a IGC and Marcus Washington. It's who knows? Good questions. We'll have to find out soon. Jerome, I've answered this question a few times. You're asking Thompson or Sims. Right now, I'm going to say Thompson. But I don't want to count anybody out. I don't think anybody deserves to be counted out at this point. Greg, thank you for the $5 super chat. Colorado for NU. So I'm assuming Greg lives in Colorado. Greg, thank you for being a Colorado for Nebraska guy. We appreciate it. And we appreciate the support. Thank you for the 5. Huskers Prod says, thoughts on Xavier Betts coming back? It's a home run, in my opinion. There were how many receivers that came back on this roster? Alante Brown. I think it was only 2. Marcus Washington and Alante Brown, who had significant experience. Wyatt Lever had a little bit of experience. He's not coming back. Brody Belt had a little experience. He's not coming back. So Nebraska was desperate to get anybody with decent talent. Let's just call it decent talent. They didn't need great talent. They just needed someone who could get out there and play. Fortunately, Xavier Betts has played, and even if he's not able to contribute right away, maybe by week 3, 4, he's in his groove and he's good to go. Or maybe he has a fantastic offseason and he's ready to go out the gate. I don't know. But yeah, it was crucial that they went and got him. He's already proved to everybody he has the speed and the skill set. So fantastic get. Brett says, does Arik Gilbert start over Fedoni? Such an interesting question. Man, that's going to be another position battle that's if Arik Gilbert gets onto the field, he's going to be hard to beat out. That guy's a freak of nature, and Fedoni is as well. Just going to say, interesting position battle. Should be fun to watch. We've got another caller, so we're going to take it right now. Chemo, can you hear me? Chemo, test, test. Hello, hello. Yo.
Hello.
Hey, hey, what's happening?
What's happening, brother?
Just talking to some people in chat, talking about Nebraska, Colorado. Someone else is talking about Missouri right now. We got it all going on.
Yes, sir. You're out in Los Angeles, right?
Yes, sir. I live in Hollywood. Right now it's nighttime here, but it's getting dim and it's about 65 degrees out, so it's nice.
Yeah, I'm out in Los Feliz. It's good to meet another Husker fan out in LA.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. I was just thinking. I think Corn Cray should probably get a Husker bar going out here. I feel like a few of them have shut down.
Have they?
I mean, we had what was it? There was a Glendale one that was going for a little bit, but I believe they shut down. But I feel like we're in need of one. So just a heads up. That'd be dope to have a corn crazed Husker bar for
That
game
would be
day.
a good idea. I've had a few people reach out to me from LA and they want to meet up, so I think that's something we should try and schedule closer to the season. Because I did meet one girl who lives in LA. She's super cool. We went to Barney's Beanery in WeHo, and we watched
Yeah.
Nebraska Purdue. But yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I just jumped onto the chat, but I just wanted to see what your thoughts are. I know we have the new tight end from Georgia coming in, and then we have Mr. Thomas Fedoni still sitting in the shadows. What do you think of him, and do you think they can be a 1-2 punch?
I think there's a really good chance they could be a 1-2 punch. I have a lot of faith in Fedoni. His only issue has been staying healthy. His knee's been, bothering him back-to-back years. So hopefully if he comes back full strength, then you've got two guys who, I mean, they were graded out in high school as physical freaks, and nothing has told me neither of them have that capability still, right? The ACL thing does hamper you a bit, but Fedoni's got the best treatment from some of the best doctors, and he should be good to go. So should be a solid one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, might be reading into social media a little bit, but I feel like he's a pretty emotional guy. Hopefully he can stick it out through the spring.
I think there was a time when I thought he might leave. And I think a lot of us thought he might leave, but he stuck it out, and now he's going to be potentially a number one tight end. So good for him.
I hope so.
Not dipping and quitting,
Yeah, man. Last question. Who do you think is going to be our fullback?
So interesting. Do they move a tight end? That would be my first thought, because you've got some tight ends who are now going to be third, fourth, potentially fifth string guys. And if one of them's strong enough and big enough, would they line them up in the backfield? The only problem there is their height. Usually fullbacks are smaller. They aren't 6'4", they're like 6'1" or 6 foot. So if you look at it from that perspective, you would say, well, a running back, but the big running back who you would have liked as fullback would have been a Yant. And we don't really have one of those now. Most of the running backs are a little bit smaller. Gabe Ervin might be the biggest running back. He's probably closer to 220. Other than that, most guys are relatively small, like Gabe Ervin and Anthony Grant. So I don't know what direction they'll go with it, but it'll be exciting to see what they decide.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you, Connor. Keep it up, man. I appreciate all what you do and keeping us alive during the off season. So,
yes, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir.
Talk soon. All right, we got Max. Can you hear me, Max? Test, test.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's happening?
Not much. Just watching some Big Ten basketball right now.
What are you watching?
Michigan, Maryland.
What's the score? I bet on that one. I took Maryland minus 2.5.
They're up 7.
I like to hear that.
Eight
I got
8.5 left.
Awesome. I got a question from chat. Can we answer it really quick together?
Yeah.
I want to know if you have the answer. Nada says, what about the scholarship limit? Aren't we like 15 above it currently? What do you think the answer to that is?
NIL.
NIL?
NIL packages for the kids that we don't have enough scholarships for.
I think that's a good one. I also think that we're going to see a lot of guys leave, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most loaded. I mean, I would say equal competition at a lot of the positions that I think that we've had in the past.
Which
A
is
lot of
why
guys
guys
that,
aren't leaving yet.
yeah, totally. They're gonna wait till spring, and I think everyone's excited about the staff.
There's a lot of hope.
So, yeah, totally. I think the guys have that too.
I think what's interesting is you have positions like quarterback, running back, tight end, maybe even the DB room, and they all have a chance now, but it'll thin out as we get into spring and into summer. And then I don't know how many we're going to have leave, but there could be 5 to 10 guys who bounce. And then maybe for the rest who do need scholarships, then you factor in the NIL like you said. So it'll be
For
interesting
sure.
to see it. I'm not going to call any names who I think would transfer or anything like that. I think that's absolutely ridiculous because who knows who's going to win what battles.
Totally.
But I have to assume a quarterback room with 6 quarterbacks on scholarship is excessive. And
Yeah.
those guys aren't going to want to sit through that. Somebody's going to say, it's time for me to move on and go somewhere else where I have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry
especially the
for
younger guys.
interrupting your
but-
question. I know you probably called in with something else.
No, I am down to talk about any of that. But I really have a problem buying into the Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I don't know. I just don't see us really being not one of the top 2 teams in the West, at least. I just feel like we have the high.
Wait. Pause. You're
Sure.
contradicting yourself, or did I hear it wrong?
Okay. No,
I thought you said you have
Okay.
a hard time buying into the Kool-Aid.
I have
And then
a problem.
you said, you have a problem. Okay.
Yes, because
You're an addict.
100%.
Okay.
Just the last 5 years have just been brutal, and then because you buy in every year.
Every year you take a little dagger and you just drive it into your chest a little bit deeper. I know. I've done.
I think a lot of the last couple of years were a little bit of false hope, but
they were. It was us just having that hope that Frost could turn it around, like the last caller.
Yeah.
Said.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, about kind of what Wisconsin is doing and Nebraska. Like they're just going to be. I feel like they're going to be compared a lot with this Luke Fickell and Matt Rule being hired within a day.
Are they going to be compared, or are they going to be put on side by side compared? Because the compared is do they look the same, and how is Wisconsin doing relative to Nebraska is totally different than are they being compared how they run their system, right? I think Nebraska is going to be in a position where they want to run the ball more and they want to get back to being a grounded out team, play the game slower, look more like the Big Ten, whereas Wisconsin is going to be this air raid, fun, Ohio State offense, honestly, is what I think it'll end up being. Right now, they're looking like an air raid team, but I just think they're going for the Ohio State model on offense.
Yeah.
So when they're compared, I don't know that they're going to compare them and say, how is Nebraska looking relative to Wisconsin since they run the same type of system? I think it'll be more of, let's just compare them, and over time, who's having more success?
Totally.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they'll be compared by their success, and I'm sure that that's going to happen with any of these coaches who've been hired in this cycle, right? But
yeah, I mean, it feels like Matt Rule is going for the Jim Harbaugh blueprint a little bit.
Much more Jim Harbaugh, much more traditional.
Yeah, and I mean that's been the key the last couple years.
When you think about quarterback play, he went and got a guy who, Jeff Sims, is much more like JJ McCarthy and can run under center. He can run the ball. He can also throw it a bit. I mean, they're going to try to run it more with their running backs and be a grounded out team. But their quarterback now looks a lot like JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, Nebraska's quarterback, like Jeff Sims, you think?
Correct. I think it's very similar.
Yeah, his throwing stats are just that they raise a couple eyebrows a little bit. So I mean, Satterfield was talking about it. He said that if we can keep him clean in the pocket, he'll be a pro.
Yeah, and he'll have better receivers here than he had at Georgia Tech. That'll help
for sure. Yeah, so it'll be an interesting battle because I mean Casey was legit when he had a clean pocket. He didn't miss many throws.
Casey's awesome, and I think that's the one thing that people are hanging on to with him. People believe that Casey has a chance to be as efficient of a passer if he has a better offensive line, and I think a lot of us are assuming the offensive line is going to be improved. And if that's the case, then why wouldn't Casey be the starter if he has such a good arm? The question is going to be, do they
Totally.
want Casey or a guy like Casey to throw it all the time, or do they want a guy like Jeff Sims who has such strong athletic ability that they can't keep him off the field?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. But
I guess that's the to be determined, right?
Yeah. It'll be fun to watch.
For sure.
So appreciate it, man. Love your
Thanks
content.
for calling in.
Keep doing what you're doing.
It.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Peace. All right, Fire Prod. You're going to be my last caller. Can you hear me? Test, test. Fire Prod. Nope, he's not there. We tried, guys. That was my last caller. I'm just going to talk to chat now, because I know I'm missing some. Derek says, would you say hope this year is more realistic? It's interesting because what are we hoping for? Last year we were hoping for, I guess we can call something unrealistic. And when we were looking for something unrealistic, the hope didn't make any sense because we were hoping for this magic season that we hadn't built up to. You had to build up in that Scott Frost era, and they just never built up. We thought maybe they built up in that 3-loss year in 2021, but it wasn't actually anything that was sustainable. It wasn't a real build. It was just we had guys who fought really hard, and we had some NFL talent. Anyway, hope this year is more realistic in the sense that our expectations are a bowl game. And if we're going to have hope for that, then yeah, this year it's way more realistic to have hope for a bowl game than it was last year to have hope for 8 wins. I think that's the best way to explain it. Last year, 6 wins was still in the card. So if we had hope to get to 6 wins last year, I think that would have been fair. Obviously, things didn't turn out that way, but that was a team who could have won 6 games under the right circumstance, right? If Casey was healthy, if the offensive line played slightly better, if Scott Frost didn't call the onside kick, if they didn't lose to Georgia Southern when they shouldn't have, all of those things, right? So either way, I think we're looking at a situation where last year hoping for 6 wins and this year hoping for 6 wins is kind of on the same level. But this year, I think we can have more legitimate hope in the sense that our expectations aren't as high as they were last year. Trying to explain it the best I can with my thoughts on that. Okay, I'm coming back down to the bottom of chat. Philip, thank you for the $2. Husker Bites on Twitter, copy. Prediction for the season. Okay, we're going to do a really early season prediction for Nebraska right now. Nebraska football schedule. 2023. You guys ready? We're doing this together. Thank you for the $2, by the way, Philip, if I didn't tell you already. Okay, the season starts at Minnesota on a Thursday night. I want to say Nebraska wins. Does Minnesota return that quarterback? Minnesota roster football. Let's just find out real quick, because that's a big thing. Ethan Kaliak-Manis. Yeah, he returns next year. I'm going to say Minnesota wins that game on a Thursday night. Nebraska's very first game together. It's at night on the road. Minnesota has a quarterback coming back who's experienced. The guy was good enough to beat Nebraska last year. As much as I think Nebraska will probably win this game, I'm going to say the smart call right now for me in a season prediction is to say they lose this one, and that takes us to 0-1. Week 2, they've got something under their belt. I think Colorado's a really good team, but I think they beat Colorado in week 2. Week 3, Northern Illinois is a win. Louisiana Tech's a win. That takes Nebraska to 3-1. Michigan's a loss. That takes us to 3-2. Illinois, they're going to have quarterback Luke Altmaier, is that his name? From Ole Miss. He's good, but they won't have their running back. They don't have a bunch of guys on defense. I think Nebraska can handle Illinois. That takes them to 4-2. Northwestern, I'm not even going to look at anything about them. I just think Northwestern's on the downswing. I don't think Fitz will last there. I think he ran his course, and I think they're eventually going to have to change it and go a different direction. Nebraska wins that, which takes us to, what's that, 5-2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5-2. Purdue, they're going to have a really good defense. We'll call this one a loss, which takes us to 5-3. Michigan State on the road. Man, Nebraska and Michigan State history is very funny. It's a little bit of a rivalry game, and it's always tight. On the road, I would favor Michigan State, but Michigan State wasn't very good this year. We'll say Nebraska wins this one, which gets 6-3. Maryland is going to be another tough team next year. Nebraska runs a 3-3-5. Maryland likes to throw the ball. Maryland has Talia Tagovailoa, whatever, coming back. I'm going to say Nebraska beats Maryland. I say they lose to Wisconsin. And that takes us to Iowa. Well, what are we at? 1, 2, no, 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3, 5-3, 6-3. We're at 6-4 for 7 wins. Does Nebraska beat Iowa at home? Man, I would say so. Nebraska gets to 7 wins. That's my ridiculous, hopeful prediction that everything goes well. That is my prediction that they have a quarterback and that they have an offensive line who are in sync. My prediction that the defense shows up. It's realistic in the sense that the team plays to the level that they are supposed to play based on how they're recruited, how they've played in the past, but none of these guys have played at Nebraska together. None of these guys have played under these coaches. So it's so hard to predict and so hard to guess, right? And I'll have to wait until we know what the depth chart looks like. I'll have to wait until we see all of these other teams finalize their rosters. But I think Nebraska realistically could be a 6-7 win team next year. No doubt about it. They don't play any teams who are so freaking good, except for Michigan, who are so freaking good, you have to write it off right away as a loss. Wisconsin is the only other team on this list that I think can compare to Michigan. Wisconsin's going to be really good next season. Just because it's Wisconsin, they have elite talent. They did great in the transfer portal. Their coaching staff is really solid. They're going to be a problem, especially on the road in late November. But outside of Michigan and Wisconsin, every single game is winnable. 6 wins, I think, is something that we can put a pin in and make that the target. 6 wins in the bowl game. I like that idea. Thanks, Philip, for the comment, and yeah. Nada says, A.D. Mitchell, Georgia connection. Just so you guys know, there's a receiver over at Georgia named A.D. Mitchell who entered the portal. He was a 4-star coming out of high school, and he did really well at Georgia. He had a couple touchdown passes this year, although he was hurt most of the year. Nebraska would take a guy like that in a second. He would start right away and be a fantastic addition. But we're not going to get a guy like that because guys like that aren't entering the portal for any other reason than they have another deal lined up. They're not entering looking for a school. They're entering because they had another school call them, most likely. I heard Texas is in on him, which means Texas probably had a conversation, said, we'll make you our star, number 1 main guy. We got Manning coming in. Come be the leader here. Whereas Georgia, he's the number 3 or potential number 4. Who knows? He's good at Georgia, could be great at Texas. That's why he's going there. So, no, I don't think there's any connection. That's just not realistic. Max says, someone tapped me in with Jeff Sims' eligibility. How long can he be around? I think it's 2 years. I'll double check right now. Jeff Sims. Show you guys while I do this. Jeff Sims has played 2 seasons legit. He has 2 seasons left. 2 more years of eligibility for him. I don't think he'll want to play 2 more. I think he'll want to play 1 and get out, but he could potentially play 2. Huskers Prod says, with all the quarterbacks, do you think one will transfer? If so, which one? Man, this one's so tough. I don't think Logan Smothers will transfer. I've thought about this, and I thought in the past maybe he would leave because he didn't fit either offense. He didn't fit the last offense. He doesn't fit this offense. But he's been so loyal, and he's wanted to be the Nebraska quarterback, and he's wanted to be on the team, I guess. And because he hasn't left yet, why would he leave in the future? Nothing's changing. So I think he's going to stay. realistically, the two who would be more likely would be Richard Torres. How does he fit in? And does this staff look to him as a guy who fits their system? The other is Chubba Purdy. He was a Mark Whipple guy. He didn't have the best year last year. Does this staff give him a chance? And does he want to be a third-string quarterback? Because he's not beating out Casey. He's not beating out Jeff Sims, I don't think. So, yeah, I would have to say Purdy and Torres would be the most likely ones. But I don't want anybody to transfer. I'd like them all to stay. But who knows how that'll play out. I thought those were really good quarterbacks, both Richard Torres and Chubba Purdy. I was so hyped when both of them committed. So it would suck to lose anybody. Let's see. And Sal says the Georgia site says that A.D. Mitchell's going to Texas. So there you go. Philip says, do you think Dylan R. would be a true freshman starting quarterback? I think somewhere he would start at quarterback. I don't think everywhere he would start at quarterback. It's interesting because to be a starter, a true freshman starting quarterback means you have to beat somebody else out who has significant experience. Trevor Lawrence did it with Kelly Bryant at Clemson. Who else has done it? There's a bunch we've talked about in the past. I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head. But Nebraska, let's say they've got Jeff Sims. And let's just hypothetically say Nebraska has Jeff Sims start this year. He does well enough to beat Casey out, which in my opinion, if Jeff Sims can beat Casey out, he's a good football player. He's a good starting quarterback. Is Dylan good enough to come and unseat him the next year? A true freshman versus a guy who's in his fourth year. Or no, he'll be in his fifth year. Jeff Sims would be a fifth-year starter. Not at Nebraska, a 2-year starter at Nebraska, but either way, 5 years overall. I would assume he would sit his first year. He'd have the chance to beat him out, and I'm sure he'd have a chance to get playing time, but who knows. Now, let's say that Jeff Sims is an average quarterback, or let's say Casey Thompson starts this year, and then Casey goes to the NFL after, or leaves after. Then it's much more likely that Dylan could come in and start right away. If he goes to a school like Georgia, you have Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift, two really good. I think both 5-star high school guys or high 4-star high school guys. If one of those guys is the starter this year, he'll probably be the starter there for the next 2 years. And does Dylan unseat one of them? Probably a little less likely. So who knows? I mean, it's all hypotheticals. We're just BSing, but anything can happen. Connor says Richard Torres to UTSA one day. That would be interesting. UTSA is really good. Isn't he from San Antonio? Yeah. So UTSA has been really good. They have a good coach. I could imagine that. Let's see. Nintendo says chances on Jake Garcia from Miami, or do we really need another transfer QB? Nebraska will not be going for Jake Garcia. He's a legacy. For those who don't know who Jake Garcia is, let's pull it up really quick. Jake Garcia was a former quarterback. Where did he play in California? Narbonne? Yeah, he played at Narbonne and La Habra. Okay. He is a top 10 quarterback nationally who picks Miami. At one point, Nebraska really wanted him. His dad played quarterback, I think, in the late 70s or early 80s in Lincoln. Anyway, he ended up going to Miami. He got some opportunities this year, but Tyler Van Dyke ended up winning the job outright. And he had to enter the portal, so Nebraska won't pursue him. They have plenty of quarterbacks. I'm not sure he's a fit for their system. So, yeah, it's interesting that he went into the portal just because he was someone that Nebraska had at one point wanted. But, yeah, he's not on the radar. Dexter says, realistically, with a new coaching staff and all these commits, what do you think our record could be? Do you think there's a possibility of Big Ten championship? So I just did, you guys probably jumped in here late, I just did a record prediction a minute ago. And in my record prediction, I said 7 wins. That's a reach, in my opinion. That's a high. That's everything goes perfectly and smoothly, we get 7. More realistic is 5 or 6. If Nebraska can get to 6 wins, which I think is safe, that's if let's say Vegas put the line out at Nebraska over under 6.5 wins next season, I would play the over at 6.5 because I'm a betting man. Would I feel good about it? I'd probably be a little bit nervous, but I would bet on it. I'd put easily $100 on that. Nebraska could easily get 7 next year. Will they get to 7? It's hard when you got to factor in all these injuries, what the depth chart's going to look like, who gets injured in the offseason. I mean, Nebraska doesn't have great depth on the offensive line, and we saw how detrimental that was as we got into the year last go. So you lose Teddy Prohaska, you lose Nordy Nuili, and what's the offensive line look like? You're really playing with freshmen. You're going to, at that point, have to play Brock Knutson and then one of these interior guys that's at guard. So injuries really could screw things and derail things. So I don't know. 7 wins is my early prediction. Red Wine says, what about Florida's QB? He's talking about Jaden Rashada. He was the quarterback who had a $13 million NIL deal, and that fell through. I'm not sure why or what happened with that. But no, Nebraska's not going to pursue him. Nebraska's not going to pursue any other quarterbacks. They're set. They've got 2 really good quarterbacks. 2 guys who, I'm not going to call them NFL guys right now, but 2 guys who could potentially be developed into NFL players. And yeah, you don't need to go after anybody until next year when we go after Raiola. Tyler says, thoughts on Dylan and the other outside coaches talking to him. Yeah, there's not much to say there. Jim Harbaugh's gone to see him, Arizona State, USC, Georgia. Everybody wants him. He's the number 1 guy in the class. So it just kind of is what it is. There's nothing that concerns me. There's nothing I'm worried about or thinking about. He's probably going to take a visit to Nebraska in March or April. He'll probably come for the spring game or something. And when that happens, maybe he'll be closer to making a choice. Nothing's for certain until he signs the paperwork, which is all the way next December. And until we get to that point, anything can happen. He could say, I'm all in on Nebraska in April. And we all get excited. I come on here and do a big blowout celebration. We have 1,000 people live, and it's, hooray. And then Nebraska could go and lose 9 games. And then does he really want to come and play for this team? Maybe not. Maybe he wants to go to Georgia. And then none of the commitment talk mattered. None of the coaches who went and saw him mattered. Right now, Satterfield saw him this week. Matt Rule saw him this week. There's still one more day for a coach to see him, I think. So Nebraska could fire off 3 coaches in a 10-day period. And does that matter? No, it doesn't matter until he signs. And I honestly don't believe, even if he commits in April, that we have him locked up until Nebraska can prove they can win 5, 6, 7 games. He's going to need to see something out of this staff. Recruiting's been fantastic. I can guarantee you he's on Twitter just like the rest of us. Damn, Nebraska just got Arik Gilbert? It's definitely flicking some things in his head. He's like, wow, this staff is for real. But yeah, I don't have much faith until we see this team and how they play. It's almost like that's the final boss. We can have some positive flow going this whole offseason. Again, national championships of the offseason. Twitter goes crazy and people are hyped up. But it doesn't matter until we see the proof on the field. And I think that's going to be the same for a big-time recruit. Jake says, what's your way too early Heisman prediction? That's a great question. So let's pull up the Heisman odds really quick, just so I can get the list. Okay. Heisman prediction. So the favorite right now is Caleb Williams, which it's hard not to like that one. Let me clean up the screen. Okay. Caleb would be my favorite because he's going to be in a really prolific offense for the 2nd year in a row. Lincoln Riley is notorious for churning out quarterbacks. But let's pick a off-the-wall guy, someone who's down the list a little bit further and not a Lincoln Riley associate. Drake May's okay, but I never have faith in North Carolina. Plus, they just lost their offensive coordinator, and I don't know what's going to happen with their new one. Bo Nix I really like, but I'd probably prefer Jordan Travis at Florida State over him, just because Jordan Travis is going to have a lot more help this season from his defense, and they're probably going to get closer to making the playoff. And there's a Southeastern bias, in my opinion, when it comes to Heisman voting. I do really like the value for Michael Penix. He's going to have another good team next year. What's the coach's name? I'm blanking on his name now. Doesn't matter. A lot of things going through my head. The coach at Washington was in his first year last year. He had 5 wins, and now he went for 11 wins this year. Now he's going to go for a Pac-12 championship. Michael Penix could be one to watch. And then the other one I like on this list, I like Cade Klubnik okay. Dylan Gabriel's okay. I don't know. Probably, nah. I'm just going to stick with Michael Penix, Jordan Travis. Those are my two personal favorites. James, thank you for the $5 super chat. What would be cool for the Colorado game is if you flew into Omaha, then a bunch of us convoyed to Colorado from Omaha to watch the game. That would be a good idea, but I don't have enough time for that because I try and make content and it just feels like driving isn't efficient for my time. But it is a good idea. We should set up some sort of convoy for road games so that Corn Craze fans can go together. That's a good idea, James. Full transparency, if I do go to the Colorado game, I think I'm going to go with the Crypto Badger. He and I were on FaceTime the other night. We talked about it. You know, he's had all his BS talk about being a Colorado fan, but, you know, he's a diehard Nebraska fan just like the rest of us. I'll probably go to the game with the Crypto Badger, maybe with my dad. We'll have to see how it pans out. And I would make a vlog out of it. I would be committed. Like, I would definitely make some cool video showing the full experience. So that would be the game plan with Colorado. But I haven't solidified anything or thought about it too much because we're 7 months away, and it's a lot. Dewey says Jeff Sims is on it regarding our Heisman odds list. Yeah, why would you be surprised that Jeff Sims is on it? Jeff Sims has a lot of potential. That guy did really well at Georgia Tech for what he had around him. He had a coach who wasn't very good as a head coach. He had no offensive line, no good receivers. And the guy still has the frame, the athleticism, and everything else to go and be special somewhere. He's one of the top 20 quarterbacks in college football. He's going to prove it next year. I really believe that. Huskers Prod says, who do you think will be the best transfer that we've gotten so far? You know who I think it is? I think it's Arik Gilbert, but that's only if he plays. If he doesn't play, that's a good question. Ben Scott? Ben Scott's going in for his 3rd year as a starter, his 2nd year as a starting center. He could be the best one. You know, don't think about the best one. Think about who has the biggest impact. Who does the most, because what the offense looked like last year at that position, the interior offensive line, was so atrocious that if we see an upgrade there, it's going to feel like we won the Super Bowl, like we have a Heisman center, a Remington Trophy winner, right? So, yeah, Ben Scott has a lot of potential. I like him. Jose says, do you have tickets already, or are you going to do what you always do? Nope, no tickets. I'm going to scalp. When I got to buy the tickets myself, I cannot afford to be paying fees. I walk up to a scalper, I negotiate. I drive a hard freaking bargain because I'm not going to football games and paying more than $75 or $100 a seat. Are you crazy? I don't got to like that. I'm like a little YouTuber trying to just pay rent and make YouTube videos. I'm not out here trying to spend $250 on StubHub who jams me up. No. We scalp. We save money. Wise Pine says Penix for sure had the best odds. He led the country in passing last year. Yeah, plus 1,100 odds for Penix is absurd to me. I love that. I'm going to have to bet on Penix next year for the Heisman. No question. Fire says he's in waiting. He wants me to do another call. Okay, I'll do another one. Fire, I've been trying to get you in, but you never talked. So it failed. Let's see. Fire, test. Can you hear me?
Yo, hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Nothing much. I'm just excited.
What are you excited about?
Just the season, Getting Arik Gilbert was pretty surprising, seeing that CBS notification on my phone.
Pretty freaking awesome, huh?
Yeah, I know. I was so pumped.
Did you go watch his highlights yet?
Oh, I've been watching them. That's
Did you
probably
watch
been on
his high
LinkedIn.
school ones?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts 2.0.
Dude, he could throw the ball. He ran the ball. He played defense. He did literally
Yes.
everything.
It is crazy.
I know. It's exciting.
You know, I did see we played Dakota's Crawford week 4 against Louisiana Tech.
How crazy is that?
I thought he was going to a Power 5 school.
You know, I thought he had offers to Pitt and who else? Somebody else in the Power 5. But when he ended up at Louisiana Tech, I wasn't surprised. You know, he wasn't a super highly recruited guy out of high school, so it made sense that he would
Yeah.
bounce back a division.
Yeah. Someone touched on it, but A.D. Mitchell, the Georgia connection.
Yeah.
I get my hopes up a lot, but they usually
he's
destroy
going.
them.
No, he's going to
He's
Texas
going to Texas.
for sure. Because I'm sure they have like some NIL deal with him. You know.
Yeah, NIL.
Where
Yeah.
are you calling in from?
I'm actually in Omaha, Nebraska.
Hell yeah! Did you go to any Nebraska games this year?
Not this year, but past 3 years I've been. I went to homecoming in 2018 against Purdue.
Nice.
COVID, and then I went to the season opener against South Alabama where we almost lost.
Oof. I remember that one though.
And then I went to last year's Iowa game, and I'm just not going to talk about that game. That was pretty bad.
Would have been better to get to go to this year's Iowa game, huh?
Yeah, I got to actually go on the field at halftime.
Really?
I got a picture with Cam Taylor-Britt.
What? Put it in the Discord. I gotta see it.
I got a picture with Cam Taylor-Britt, Adrian Martinez, Damian Daniels, and Austin Allen, and I was in the tunnel.
Damn,
when they did
that's
the tunnel.
legit. You for sure gotta drop that picture in Discord so I can see it.
Oh, most definitely. Jojo Dumbin hit my hand.
Really?
I don't plan on washing that hand again. Keeping that with me, hopefully I get something going,
I love it.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty excited about MJ Sherman, too.
MJ Sherman's awesome. I think he's got a high ceiling. I'm not sure what's going to happen with him because, he's played a lot of special teams, but not much at linebacker. So I don't know if they're going to use him at defensive end or outside or what they'll do.
Yeah.
Either way, it's just good to have somebody with a lot of talent coming from such a good school.
Yeah, and Malachi Coleman's been tweeting lately, so.
I know. I love seeing when Malachi and all these dudes tweet. It gets me fired up.
Yes, it gets me fired up too. Yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely drop the pictures in the Discord.
Did you get any gloves from those guys?
I wish, but
no,
I didn't.
Get any gloves from them? Damn.
And I got to sit pretty close to the field. It was pretty cool.
Nice. All right. Well, here, do this. So I've got JoJo Doman signed gloves. So I'll send you one of them. If you just message me on Discord, send me your address. I'll send you one. It's game worn.
Here's the thing, though.
What's the thing?
All right. So my parents don't really know like that.
Your parents don't know what?
Like, don't like me dropping address and stuff. So,
good idea. You should probably tell your parents first.
I would love to have them, but I think it's okay. I think you can keep them. From the bottom of my heart, you can keep them.
The offer's there. If you ever want it, just message me.
All right. But, definitely stay in touch.
All right, dude. I'm always in the Discord. You can hit me up anytime.
All right. Love the videos. Go Big Red.
I appreciate it. Go Big Red.
Bye.
Bye. That was hilarious. We got fans of all ages here. We got young fans. We got fans who've been fans since before my parents were born. We got female fans, which I didn't even know was a thing. I didn't know that women enjoyed Nebraska football to the level they do. What was interesting, I got an email today from a female subscriber who loved her merch purchase and who loves the content and really wants to see the channel grow. And I was thinking about it. Last year, when I looked at the percentages, there was only 0.5% of 0.5%, not a full 1.5%, 0.5% was female followers or subscribers. This year, we're at 3.7%. So we have this really diverse community, which is so interesting because I don't really hang out with that much. My friend circle isn't that diverse. It's mostly guys and girls between the age of like 26 and 35, I guess. And outside of that, I don't really talk to other people. So the fact that we've got young, old, women, everything is pretty freaking awesome to me. So thank you guys all for being here and making my night and making all these videos fun and being cool to be, being cool to be a corn crazed army member. There was a question in here. Where was it? Nathan, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Anyone who becomes a member, I can see your comments easier and then I'm able to respond to them in my videos. And that's why it's cool to be a member. And it helps to support the channel and helps to support me. So thank you. Kyler said, how much did you pay for the SoFi tickets for the Natty? Well, whoa. I did not pay for the SoFi tickets to the Natty. My dad paid for the SoFi tickets to the Natty. So that was a totally different circumstance. If I was paying, I would have waited until halftime or maybe the end of the first quarter. I would have stood outside and bought whatever ticket I could get for like $250 or $300 because that's what it would have been if I waited a full quarter. Now, I had the luxury of going with my dad. So because he was there, he paid $1,100 a ticket and we waited until the very last minute before the kickoff, like 15 minutes before, I think. And when we waited, ticket prices dropped from $4,500 all the way down to $1,100 each. And that's how we got them. From scalpers right outside the stadium. It worked out perfect. But I did not pay those because I don't got it like that. Not right now. Not for a game like that where it's not Nebraska, Like if it was a Nebraska national championship, I'll tell you what. I already know the tickets are going to be out of here. Ridiculous. $4,500 would be light for a Nebraska ticket for good seats. And I'll tell you right now, I would pay it. I would find a way. I would just be like, it is what it is. Once in a lifetime experience. It's not that I need to be there. It's that I'm supposed to be there. If I'm supposed to be there, I got to come out of pocket. I just got to be cranking more YouTube videos. I would just be like, all right, I need to make $4,500 this month just for that ticket, which means I got to make X amount of videos per day. And we do it. But yeah. Max, thank you for the $10 super chat. Not gonna lie, this year was so brutal to cheer for Nebraska. It was, sir. Just because I had a UNL speed flex and had sent it to Dedrick Mills, the dude never sent it back and then blocked me? Dedrick Mills? Wait. Max, what? Dedrick Mills. Let me read this and make sure I'm not saying this wrong, because this is foul. Hold on. I had a UNL speed flex. That's like $200 plus, $300. Sent it to Dedrick Mills to sign, and when he got it, he blocked you. If that's true, I don't want to be one of those people, usually these things need to go to trial. We need to prove. It's innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Dedrick Mills or anything because I don't know the story. But if that's true, that's some foul shit. That's just wrong. Max, how old are you? If you're a kid, I'm going to feel even worse. That'd be some bullshit. What? Kyler's response to my comment about the tickets to the game. He said, "Daddy's money, I see." I don't know what that means. Yes, it was Daddy's money. Daddy bought me tickets to go to the national championship with him. That's what we do. He buys me tickets to go to games when I go with him. So that's the beautiful part about having a dad who loves college football with me. Are You Super Serial says we'd start a GoFundMe for those Natty tickets if Nebraska ever made it. That's a fact. We'd have the GoFundMe. It'd be like, get corn crazed into the national championship. That'd be hilarious. Max said he promises he's been tight ever since. Yo, that's screwed up, honestly. I feel bad, Max. I'm sorry. That's painful. I'm surprised. You would never think a guy like that would scam you for a helmet, because it's not like he wanted the helmet, so I'm sorry about that. That sucks. I'd be tight too. Can't believe he blocked you. That's some weird shit. Anyway, thank you for the $10 super chat. Not sure if you want me as a speaker because I'm a Wisconsin fan, so I'll drop a super chat. I love what Rule is doing, and I think it's safe to say the future is looking bright for both of us. Hey, first off, I would love you as a speaker. I don't discriminate against any fans. Number one, before Nebraska, I'm a college football fan. This channel, as much as it is about college or about Nebraska, it's about college football because this entire world is what makes Nebraska football fun. We got to play all these other teams, and there's way more to it than just Lincoln, Nebraska. It's all the cities that make it great. So thank you for being a supporter of the channel. Thank you for the super chat. And if you ever do want to call in, you're welcome to. I've got a ton of Wisconsin fans who also support Nebraska since I'm a Nebraska fan. So it's all good. We're all in this together. I will say this, though. Wisconsin's future is looking immediately bright, is looking next year 9 wins bright, is looking Luke Fickell might have a Heisman contender at quarterback and some NFL receivers tomorrow bright. So congrats on that. Wisconsin is just flying right now. But thank you for the support. Kyler says, what did you say to Dylan when you saw him at the Natty? I didn't say anything to him. I just said, what's up? And I asked him for a picture, and I told him I had to get a picture with him because it would be criminal if I didn't. I didn't say anything about, oh, what school were you committing to? Because it's just weird to be I'm in my late 20s, and he's in his teens, and it's weird to go up to a 17-year-old kid and be like, hey, bro, are you going to Nebraska next year? It just didn't feel right. So I'm just like, what's up? I need a picture because, yeah, we have to. You guys are ridiculous. Daddy Connor on here once. My dad, if we got my dad on to Corn Crazed, he would have a lot to say. He wouldn't have a lot to say about Nebraska. My dad has a lot of negative things to say about Nebraska. Just because he's gone to a lot of Nebraska games with me all the way since like 2009. And every time we go, it's just an embarrassing loss. We won one. Nebraska, Penn State 2011 or 2012 in Happy Valley, snow game. Kenny Bell kick return for a touchdown. Nebraska kicks a field goal to win the game, I think in overtime. I think that's the one Nebraska win that he went to with me. Trying to think if there was another. Nope, all the rest were losses. Red Wine says, is SoFi the best stadium you've been to? SoFi is an incredible stadium. I will say it is special. I mean, the way that they built it out, the way you can walk through and you got your little VIP section, and when you leave, you can go up this like giant staircase that leads you out the side, and then you have this cool view because the stadium is built into the ground, so you have this cool view of like the rim of the stadium, the top dome area, but then you can see all the way down into it. So anyway, it's hard to describe. But yeah, SoFi is one of the best. Arrowhead was fantastic. I really enjoyed Arrowhead because number one, it's like a like a college atmosphere in an NFL game. You have fans acting like college football fans because they're so diehard and so loud. Everyone stands up the entire time, which I know some people hate. I personally love standing up the entire game because I like to feel like I'm in it, like I'm a part of it. So Arrowhead was cool. Oh, the other thing about Arrowhead was in one of the end zones, they have this like Kansas City Hall of Fame, and it's super nice. It's like all glass, and they have all this history in there and rings and trophies, and Kansas City's really nice. What's another really nice stadium? Ohio State's an incredible stadium just because of the experience. But when we talk about just a nice stadium aspect, the best two were Dallas Cowboys and SoFi, and then the Chiefs. Those are all really nice. Ryan says Jerry's World is the best stadium. It's so nice at Jerry's World, but honestly, I think LA beats it. I think SoFi beats it. I've been to Jerry's World like 3 or 4 times, and I've been to SoFi twice, and I will say SoFi is special. Wisconsin will be successful. Matthew says, I don't think Wisconsin will be successful long-term with the air raid. You know, I'm not sure if Wisconsin's going air raid. Wisconsin might end up going more of an Ohio State balanced attack where they like to throw the ball, but they're also going to run it a bit. That's my guess, but who knows? It could go any direction with them when they have an air raid passing offensive coordinator coming in. The guy came from North Carolina, and North Carolina was a legitimate air raid, so who freaking knows? I just can't imagine Wisconsin completely aborting the run and switching to full spread 5 wide every single time they line up. That just doesn't seem realistic. So, yeah, I'm going to guess more of a balanced attack like Ohio State with a passing emphasis. John says, how much did you say your hoodie cost? This hoodie, I have no idea. I bought this so long ago, like 2020 or 2019. It was probably $60 or something. Who knows? Seth says, aside from the D-line, what position on defense do you think Rule should prioritize and why? I think they got to prioritize that rover. Whoever's going to play nickel, rover, whatever it is in Tony White's defense, the guy who essentially is a hybrid linebacker safety. I really liked Isaac Gifford, and I thought he had potential, but then Javen Wright came to the table, and Javen Wright looked really good in some of the games he played. I think specifically it was Michigan. So if you have Javen Wright, who's now healthy, he's a physical specimen. I think the guy's like 6'4", 6'5". Maybe you got a legitimate hybrid outside linebacker safety in him. And yeah, so I think you got to prioritize that position to find the right guy. Who is the best guy to start in that position? It's going to be really interesting. Who knows? A lot of chat. They're loading. Hang on. Brett says we got to keep Connor from going to games. Are you talking about don't go to games because you want me to be able to make content? That was my first thought. I didn't want to go to games because I don't like when I can't make content. I'm addicted to it now. I'm addicted to hopping on here after the game, right before the game, just talking to you. It's fun. Making content's legit. It's become my life. It's freaking crazy. Matthew says, as bad as it's been being a Nebraska fan in LA, imagine being at most of these groin kick games in person. It's rough out here. I've been to enough groin game kicks to not want to do that every single week. I went to Oregon in Eugene. I went solo, man. This is before I was doing content. This is back in 2017. I'm just a diehard Nebraska fan who wants to experience college football games, right? Get the feel myself. I go to Portland. I stay with not my friend's girl, but like some girl my friend was hooking up with at some point. I stay at her house. She had an extra bedroom, so I stay there for 3 nights. Then she takes me the next morning to a bus stop in downtown Portland. I take a bus with a bunch of other Oregon fans, 2 hours, I think, down to Eugene. I walk around downtown Eugene a little bit, walk around the campus and stadium, whatever. Go to the game solo. Nebraska keeps it close. They come back after being down by a lot. They lose by like 6. I think Willie Taggart was the head coach back then. Mike Riley was the coach. Tanner Lee was at quarterback. DeMornay Pierce-Snell had a big touchdown catch, but whatever. I go to so many games like that, and I'm so excited about the game itself. And then when the game ends up being a disappointment, it's like, man, my whole day feels ruined because I invested so much time and, money into these situations. So yeah, going to all the games is a nightmare. I'd rather be at home where I can disconnect and just turn it off when it's over and move on to another game that's a little bit more fun. I get it. Philip says, do you think we bring in another high caliber player before spring? I don't know about before spring, but I wouldn't be surprised if after May 20th, Nebraska was able to get another guy in the portal because more big names will enter after they don't earn starting spots or after things happen at these other schools. So if USC has someone who's high caliber, maybe Nebraska goes and makes a move, but who knows? Snoz, you missed a lot. We talked about a ton tonight. But it's okay. I post these up after we're done, and then you can watch it back and just listen to it. We got through a lot, and we did some. What else did we do? Oh, we did live call-ins. Oh, guys, I got the pictures from our boy from Fire. You guys want to see this? Let me see if I can screen share it. One sec. Discord. Here they are. Our boy Fire Prod has this picture with Cam Taylor, Britt in the tunnel, Adrian Martinez, Austin Allen. and Damian Daniels. Nice. We love to see it. I'm glad you got that experience, brother. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going back to screen share. Bang. Let me make sure I got through everything I wanted to talk about tonight. Talked about Jeff Sims, Minnesota, the schedule. Bop, bop, bop. Oh, talked about this way earlier. Recruits for the weekend. Oh, Nebraska basketball. I didn't talk about that yet. Guys, I don't watch college basketball. Rarely ever. I'm just not, I don't care. But Nebraska was playing Ohio State last night, and I saw Nebraska was getting 6 points. So I ended up throwing some money on it. So I watched the game start to finish. And as bad as the offense was in the beginning, the defense did well enough, or Ohio State did bad enough shooting, that Nebraska was in it the entire way through, and they ended up winning a game. Fantastic. Congrats, Nebraska. I'm actually more interested in watching Nebraska basketball now that they have hope. They, I think, are at 10 wins or something, so that was awesome. First time watching a Nebraska basketball game start to finish in, man, years. Years. This was Tristan Gebbia. Tristan Gebbia transferred to Ohio State. Had that right here. Didn't care to talk about that, but it was an option. And then finalizing again on Arik Gilbert. 5-star plus, meaning he's through the roof. And here are the 5-star plus guys. I mean, he's in great company. Arik Gilbert's in the same company as Brian Brissy, Bryce Young, Julian Fleming, Keely Ringo, Justin Flo. Don't know Jervon Dexter. What year was he? I don't even know. Miles Murphy, Broderick Jones, Paris Johnson. Anyway, pretty crazy that they got him. Pretty exciting that they got him. Let me make sure I don't miss my super chats. Nebraska Edit says, chances Dylan comes to Nebraska. It's still so damn early. I'm going to still stick with 40%. I'll say 40%, but in reality, I got no idea. 40% feels realistic at this point, though, because we haven't seen Nebraska play. And if Nebraska can at least get to 6-7 wins, I think that percentage maybe goes up to 50%, which would be exciting. Tater says, have I been to Kinnick Stadium? I have not. The only Big Ten stadiums I've been to are Michigan, Wisconsin, Penn State, Nebraska, Ohio State. I'd love to go to Kinnick. I'd love to go. Oh, I've been to Wisconsin. Wait, I said Wisconsin. I would love to go to Kinnick. I'd love to go to Michigan State. Those would be 2 on my list. Chance says Cam's playing well for Cincinnati. That has been surprising. He's a freaking rookie, and he's playing a lot at DB, making plays at DB. He says he's pulling for him and Zach Taylor. Who am I pulling for? As a fan, I would like the Bengals to win. I don't know. I got this this love for the Bengals out of nowhere last year. I think it's the underdog story. I love following the underdogs. So yeah, I'm definitely going for the Bengals. I also like the Jags. Again, going back to the underdog story, there's something fun to root for the team who's not supposed to be there. So Jags and Bengals are 2 teams I'm excited to watch this weekend and hopefully both win. Brett says, thoughts on Spencer Sanders going to Ole Miss, along with that LSU 5-star transfer, and then Jackson Dart. This was so interesting, and everyone asks questions about how this happened, why this happened. Jackson Dart was the starting quarterback at USC in 2021. Jackson Dart was the starting quarterback at Ole Miss in 2022. He did well, but he didn't do amazing. He wasn't Matt Corral. Jackson Dart did not earn his position going into next year. He earned a chance to battle for the starting position, but he did not earn that number 1 spot. So what does Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss do? Goes to the portal and he gets Walker Howard, 5-star LSU QB, who was sitting behind Jaden Daniels this year. Then he went out today and got Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State. Now, Spencer Sanders is the no-brainer starting QB next year. He's already won 12. He went 12-2 at Oklahoma State in 2021. He's had multiple seasons where he's been fantastic. I think he's a 3 or 4 year starter. Spencer Sanders will start. Then you've got Jackson Dart battling for a backup spot against Walker Howard. And in my opinion, Jackson Dart will probably win that battle because he's been there. But Walker Howard has untapped potential we haven't seen yet. So let's say Walker Howard wins and Jackson Dart doesn't want to be a backup anyway. He dips. Now you have 2 new quarterbacks. Dart's gone to who knows where. And maybe Purdue or something like that. And yeah, that's how I think it'll play out. I really like Spencer Sanders, though. So because I'm an Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin fan, and I'm a Spencer Sanders fan, that ended up working out. Randall says, I have a hard time watching Husker basketball because I always feel like I'm going to be let down. Brother, I have the same exact thing to say about Nebraska football, but it is what it is. I'm still here regardless. Anyway, guys, I've been live for an hour and 50 minutes tonight. If you didn't get to watch the full show, I'm going to post this up and you can watch it all back from the beginning. We did live call-ins. We talked about recruiting. We talked about my experiences with things. Here's the deal. I'm going to Aruba on Sunday. I've got to go for a work trip for like a week. So I'm not going to be able to make any content. And I know some people are like, oh, you go and do all these things, you make it sound like a drag. Listen, I'm not big into the traveling stuff because right now I'm at a phase in my life where I just want to make content and work. I've been to Aruba. I've done this shit. I'm over it. But I got to work. I got to help my friend out with her company. I got some obligations. So I'll be back after the 29th. And once I'm back, I'm going to get back to doing some live streams, some content, whatever we can talk about, squeeze it in. And yeah, I'm going to be working on other content for another channel. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. I also am doing a deal with Brothrow. Just so you guys know, full transparency, I'm doing a deal with Brothrow. And yeah, I'm really excited about that deal. I'm going to help them. I'm going to become the face of their brand, essentially. So you guys help me do that. Thank you all for helping me get that deal. That's going to be fantastic for me in my journey, let's say. I'm going to create content for them, for their own socials, for their YouTube, for their website. And I'm going to help them to navigate their whole marketing landscape and figuring out how to bring more people onto their site. I love that platform. You guys know I use it a bunch. I promoted it a ton here. But the only reason that I was able to get that opportunity was because so many of you guys signed up for the platform and you essentially showed them that I'm the best fit for what they want to do going forward. So yeah, that partnership with them is fantastic. And yeah, I owe it to you guys partially. So thank you for that. Vince, thanks for being here again. Judy, thank you for being here. Plenty of you guys I see in here all the time, and you guys all coming back is very meaningful. James. Snosberry says, chances of another trivia game. We can do trivia anytime you guys want. Let me know and we can do trivia. Trivia would be fun. I'm definitely down for it. Anyway, with all of that said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. So until next time, thank you for being here. Go Big Red.